want to talk about some of the real life, day-to-day stuff that, is not something that always makes it to the Facebook post or the Instagram post, because maybe just a picture doesn't even wrap up all of the feelings and the emotions and the different levels of the chaos and mayhem that's happening in your life. And not to mention that, even a little blurb or a couple of sentences just doesn't seem to wrap it up. But if you could get together with girlfriends, which is what this that we do with Mom's Night Out is, it's just like-minded sisters in the journey, and you can say, let me tell you what's happening and what I'm learning in the midst of it. It's not something I've fully, cleansed of even. It's not something I've, 5 years ago I dealt with this kind of a situation. It's like, hey, so this was just 2 weeks ago, and this is where I am, and here's how I'm handling it today and how I continue to deal with it. And you get to just be a part of it. And so that's my desire, is that tonight I'm going to share some of what's happening in my world experience. And, it's nothing traumatic. It's nothing, devastating. But all the same, it's a complexity, like a whole mixed up bundle of little things that just made this big frustration of like, really? Like, what in the world? Anybody else had one of those where you just like, okay, for real? Like, I've even asked, like, am I on some, like, crazy show? Like, is someone filming me right now? Like, what is the story? This is a little ridiculous. As you all know, I've been working on my book, The Intentional Parent, and it is complete. It is finished. And I have enrolled myself in some pretty high accountability groups to ensure that I got that work done. And I did. And so over the holidays, I was huddled up in corners and pulling myself away from family and going into rooms to put some final touches on the book because I had a goal, a personal goal, to have the book complete and ready for a conference that I'm speaking at coming up the first weekend in February. And so I was like putting the final touches on and getting stuff done and rewording stuff. And some of my great girlfriends read through the first part for me, and they were giving me feedback, and I loved them for that. So I made some changes there. And I'm looking at the calendar. You guys, anybody else who's a goal setter or, like kind of slightly type A like me, I'm looking at the calendar as I'm working on this project, and I'm just watching the days tick by. And I'm going, okay, I'm even trying to budget time out. Like, okay, like this number of pages, surely I can get that done in the next 3 days, right? And it would take 5 days. And I go, oh, like, okay, I'm looking at the calendar, days steady ticking by. I'm looking at February. It's getting closer and closer. And I'm like, oh, the holidays are done. We're into the new year. And the book's not done. And I can feel myself starting to slide down into, like, this downward thought spiral. I'm like, this is never going to work. But at the same time, trying to champion myself. No, girl, like, you can do it. Like, stick with it. And my hubby is trying his best to keep me from slipping into the dark pit of doom and take on that whole negative outlook on this whole experience. So he's trying to be encouraging, and the kids are trying to be encouraging because they're all like, oh, man, oh, this could go bad. And I'm trying to do it in the midst of feeling like it's never going to happen. Can you guys relate that? Like, you're trying to be optimistic, and at the same time you're thinking, I don't know if this is going to work. So that's me.
Yes.
And
hey, wait, Rose, I'm sorry I have to say, but congratulations on your book. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to say that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. So I get to the point where all that I can see to do is done. That doesn't mean that when I step away from it and come back to it, I might not see something. I'm also having to pull myself away from wanting to go in and change things, because now we're at the point where I wrote some of these things almost a year ago. So it's like, yeah, I'd say that differently now, or I would add in, and I'm like looking at all of this, and I just feel like the perfectionistic monster is coming out of me like, oh, no, let's not go to print just yet. Let's change this, or let's add this, or let's take this out. And so I'm having to like pop my own hand away from the keyboard, like, no, leave it, just go, move forward. And I go to, okay, this is where the breakdown starts to really happen. I'm using Amazon to distribute the book. It's as simple as if you've ever sent an email with an attachment, right? Like if you've ever done something as simple as that, you just get a file off your computer, you attach it to an email, and you send it. That's about what this process is with Amazon. Well, every time I attached my document to send it up to upload it to Amazon, when they gave me a preview on the screen of the document that they received, it had errors in it. And so I'm looking at it on the screen like, yeah, no. I sent a PDF. It shouldn't look like that. But what is that? That's all messed up. So I go back to my document, and I fix whatever page was wrong. Let's say it's page number 8. I fixed page number 8. I'd upload it. Now page number 8 is correct, but page number 10 is wrong. And so I'd go, what is that? Okay, no problem. Still trying to stay optimistic. Now, this is one of those nights where I worked on it, on the book, and sitting out in a parking lot while my daughter was in an event. So when we got home, I high-fived the whole family and said, guys, the book is done. I'm going to upload it to Amazon tonight. So my hubby says, I'm so proud of you, babe. And he falls asleep. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be asleep in a minute, because all it is clicking a thing and uploading it. That was about 10 o'clock. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm still trying to figure out how in the world to fix now page 48, which I thought was fixed, but no, it's wrong now, and I'm chasing. It's essentially like chasing some phantom error in the document, and I have no clue why it's doing this, because it's just a Word doc that was saved as a PDF, and you just have to upload it. I just keep saying the process, because we got stuff in our own lives, right, where you're like, it's just the 2-year-old that I just need to get dressed and get to the grocery store. Like you just say, like it's basic. This is not some major project we're trying to do here. It's just I need this 2-year-old in this outfit to get in that car. That's it. Yet, why is this an hour later and we're still here and the 2-year-old's still not dressed and we're still not out the door? And you just go, really? Am I on a show right now? Like, this should not take this long, but yet it is. Well, that's me with this document. So about 2 o'clock, in tears, I just closed the laptop and said, this is not happening. I'm exhausted, and I'm going to make a serious mistake if I stay up, like accidentally hit a delete button or something and go, oh, did I just delete the thing? What happened? So I went to bed. I woke up with it on my mind. And I said, no, I'm going to work on it. And my hubby could tell when he woke up that I just wasn't quite right. Like, I'm looking at the laptop, but I don't have this look of joy that I had when he fell asleep the night before. So he's like, well, hey, what's up? And I was like, no, something's going wrong with the book, and I don't know what, and I'm trying to figure it out. So he says, well, let me help. So from about 7 o'clock until about 10:30 in the morning, both of us are working on the document, and we can't figure out what's wrong. It's at about this point that he goes, I got to go to work, hon, and maybe we can work on it later. He said, but part of me is thinking you're going to need to start over. And that's when I started crying. I just was like, I spent hours on this. What do you mean start over? And I hope that, honestly, I hope that this is, as you hear my story, that you're thinking of something in your own life where it seemed so simple when you started, and yet the more you worked on something, it just didn't come together, maybe in your time frame, or maybe in the way you thought that it would come together. Maybe if you're going for a degree and you thought, hey, man, it's a 4-year degree or it's a 2-year degree. Certainly I could just get that done. And then it's 6 years later and you're going, what? Like, it's not happening for me. Maybe there was a business you wanted to start, or maybe there was this idea you had about when you would have another child, and all of that seemed like the natural next step for you, and that it doesn't seem to be coming together. And you think, what is this? I felt convicted. I felt strong that this is what God wanted me to do, and yet it's not happening. What's the story? Like, God, where are you? What is happening right here? Is this a time for me to keep pushing forward, or is this a time for me to, like, let go of it? Like, what is that? And God, help me to know what the difference is. Is this wisdom to keep pushing, or is this wisdom to say, hey, maybe I need to step back and just check in and say, okay, God, you know, what's the story? Are you trying to show me something here? I hope that you're having those thoughts as you're listening to my story, so that it's not just about this book, but it's a bigger conversation of what do we do when stuff just isn't going right? And we're fairly certain that we're doing exactly what God had for us, but man, this is like working at it. It's not just happening. It's an effort. A struggle is really happening. And you're going, I am beginning to wonder, was this what I'm supposed to do? Maybe some doubt starts to creep in of, what's the story
That's
here?
just the devil.
Yeah. I love you, Robin. So back to the story. So I worked on the book that day. Of course, I've had little sleep that night. So I just come out, spend some time with the kids, and I said, hey, guys, I'm really tired. So I'm going to go down and lay down for a bit, take a nap, and then I'm going to get up, and I'm going to work some more on the book. And I'm going to do that thing that I thought was something I said, definitely don't want to do that. Anybody ever had those, I'll do all these other things, but there's just one thing I'm not willing to do. Like, okay, well, I'll do all of these ideas that I have, God, but I don't ever want to do whatever that is. I don't ever want to have to go get a job, or I don't ever want to have to, whatever you might name. I've had friends say, I said I would never want to have to homeschool, but look at me. Now I'm homeschooling. I thought never, God. Like, that was my never. We all have a never, and boy, we be careful with those, because God is like never. Okay, I thought I was God. I thought you said you yielded your life to me. What is this never about what you're proclaiming? And for me, the never was start over. I was like, I've invested hours now into something that should have been simple. Start over? But start over is what gave me peace. Like, it didn't make sense, but I had a peace about starting over. At the same time, I had a whole lot of grief and frustration around starting over. I was like, oh, my word, the thought of starting over. So I took a nap, and I woke up and did my usual. I just prayed over the keyboard and the laptop and just said, okay, God, here we go. Let's do it. So I get the template. I start uploading all of the text back into the template. It's a whole lot of formatting is where I am in the process. It's what gives the headline to the chapter. It's what makes sure all the words are in the right place on the pages and all of this that makes the interior of a book look good. So I'm uploading, and it's time for me to take my kids on an errand. My daughter is about to turn 13, and we told her all the sisters are getting together, and we're going to take her out and go shopping and just treat her like a princess. So the kids come to the door, and they say, Mom, you've had some rest. Are you about time to go? You said you wanted to go to the store at this time, and it's almost there. I said, yeah, you know what, guys? I've actually been making really good progress. I'm, like, really far into the book. And it's been happening so quick, I guess, because I've learned this template so well now. let me just hit save, and we'll go to the store. So as I'm literally moving my hand across the keyboard to hit click save, Microsoft Word crashes.
No.
No. No. No. No.
Yes,
No.
it did.
What?
No.
What? This is like what? Oh my God.
And that is when I just fell across my bed and cried like I was 2 years old.
No.
I just said, you have got to be kidding me. That did not just happen.
Mm-mm.
Screen just blank. And I was like, I just can't right now, God. Like, I got no words. I'm outdone. I am outdone.
Did it do
And
auto recovery?
Deep in my spirit, oh yeah. Deep in my spirit, I said, man, have we just entered into a spiritual battle and didn't even know it?
Oh.
I said, man, do I understand in this moment what commitment looks like.
Mm.
So I had my cry, because I honor my cries. I get it. My tears, they mean something to me. So I honored the tears. Then I wiped my face and I called the kids in. I told them what happened. And I said, you know, there have been times when, because of the nature of the work that I do, of speaking and sharing and mentoring and coaching and being with women in some of the toughest times and encouraging them in some of the most exciting and celebratory times, that I get to ask myself the honest, heart-level question, why am I doing this? Am I doing this so that people know me? Am I doing this so that I can become a speaker and travel the country and do all of these things that some of the other people I'm associated with do all the time? That's their life now. Is that why I'm doing this? And I said, God, I don't want that to be my story. I don't want that to be my motivation. I want to be out here to do exactly what you're calling me to do and nothing more. If no one ever knows my name, but you've been made famous, I'm good with that.
Mm.
And I felt like this entire process with this book has been an opportunity for me to say, I do this because I care about the people who will read the work.
Mm-hmm.
I do it because I care about some mamas I have yet to meet and maybe will never meet, but that will meet in that book. I do this because I want them to hear a message that I deeply believe, even if I never get to tell them that with my voice. And so I got to fall in love with the women that God has called me to serve in this process. And that meant I had to keep overcoming obstacles and challenges and things that looked on the surface like they should be so simple that I had set as my time frame, and I got to watch my time frame disappear time and time again. I got to surrender to the process, and I got to see my heart and know that my heart was pure in the motivation that was moving me. And so I told my kids in that moment, when I was so frustrated and so upset, if you ever want to see what commitment looks like, look at me right now. Because, see, the fun and the idea of, hey, I'm going to write a book, that's gone. This will be neat, and it could sell copies, and we could on and on and on. The story you could make up about what it means to write a book, that's gone. All you have right now is someone who's broken before God, and still it will be done. I'm committed to it being done. So I closed the laptop in front of them. I said, you give me 5 minutes, and you'll see a new person. And I went in the bathroom, and I washed my face, and I jumped around and shook it off and said, God, you be praised anyway. And I came out with this renewed, refreshed perspective, not totally there. I mean, I still had this part of me like dreading coming back to the laptop because I knew I still had work to do. But at the same time, a sense of understanding of what was happening on the spiritual level as well. And I came out with a smile, and I said, we have a birthday girl to celebrate. Let's go have a great time. I went out with my kids that evening. We had an amazing time shopping for her, like a princess, having her try stuff on and buying her clothes and just doting on her. And I came back to the laptop, dreading it, and I opened it up, and just as I think it was Nkechi said, there was the document. It had been recovered by Microsoft, and there it was sitting there. I didn't see that before. As far as I knew, it was gone, and I was like, I start over again. I mean, I already said I didn't want to start once, but twice was just absolutely devastating to think of. But there was the document. I never hit save so fast before in my life. I'm an avid saver now. I just, I save every 2 minutes. I'm like, hit save, let's just save it, like save, click save, make sure it's there. And I got to work on that book again. I got to finish it. I got to upload it. And all that we're waiting on now at this point is just a proof copy to come in the mail. Because we did make some changes. We want to make sure that everything is sitting like it's supposed to be. And then the book will be up and complete and done and ready.
Yeah.
I had a great friend who asked me about how the book was going. I've got several people who know the book is in the works, and they're like, I've heard from you. I'm like, yeah, okay, so I didn't know what to tell you. Like, hey, so it takes way longer than I ever thought. It's harder than I ever thought. I didn't know how to say anything that would actually be fun for you to hear, so I just kind of, yeah, I'm working on it. But she said, can I just ask you to do one thing? And I'm gonna pass on what she said to me. I'm going to say it to you. For whatever situation you've been thinking about in your own life as you listen to my story, whether you feel like there's a delay that keeps happening for something you feel like God promised years ago, maybe there's something you want to pursue, but you just always feel like something happens in life and gets in the way of you moving in that next step. Maybe there's little frustrations that have been happening to you throughout your day, and you think, what is this about? She said to me, Susan, I'm going to ask one thing of you, and I ask that of each of you as you listen to me. Pause for a moment and celebrate where you are. Celebrate the win of where you are. She said, you wrote a book. Girl, have you stopped long enough to just take that in? You, 7 kids, homeschooling, full life, took the time to write a book that will serve people that you don't even know. Take that in. So for you, whatever that dream is, even if it's not fulfilled in the way you thought or in the time you thought or how you thought the circumstances in your life would look right now, do take a moment and celebrate all that is right in your life right now, because there's plenty. If you took time to try to write down all the blessings and all the amazing things that are going on in your life right now, you wouldn't have enough time to write all of those down. But do take it in that in spite of what's not right and not going right, there's a whole lot that is right. There's a whole lot to celebrate, to be thankful for, to be grateful for. And sometimes we miss it when our eyes get so focused in on the problem We miss out on seeing the work of the problem solver that's making things happen on our behalf. We miss it. So I wanted us to have a conversation tonight where I get the opportunity to just remind us that in spite of all that's happening that's not right, that's frustrating, that's disappointing, that may be painful in our lives, let's purpose as we seek to be intentional in our work. Let's purpose not to just go through it, but let's purpose to grow through the experience, to enrich the experience by growing and deepening. Perhaps it's your commitment. Perhaps for you, it's also some surrender that needs to happen. Perhaps there's a deepening of grit and passion for you. That it's beyond just a flippant decision, but now it is a deep passion, a mission of the heart for you. But grow in whatever area you see that is for you. Purpose to grow through it. The second thing is for us to remember when things aren't going right, that when the heat turns up, the real you shows up. And we get to see ourselves. Sometimes it ain't pretty. Like we're like, oh man, I don't like that part of me that shows up, that's shown up today. But perhaps it's an opportunity that as that comes to the surface, we get to determine maybe that's something that needs to be burned off, that's no longer serving us. It's for the direction that we feel led to go. Or maybe you get to see a part of yourself. Like for me, I got to see that I was more committed to this project than I ever knew I could be so deeply committed to it. I would have said, yes, absolutely, I'm going to get that done. But there's a difference when you've been through the fire and you say, no, I'm going to get that done. It's been fired and etched into my spirit, my soul, a commitment to that work. I mean, do you think that, I know, but do you think that I'll talk about that book differently based upon the experience I've been through?
Yeah.
I won't just say, hey, here's a book. I would say, man, this book was written with you in mind. I thought about you before we even met. I wrote down my thoughts, and I wanted to share them with you. Is it the best work ever? Is it the best book ever written? No, it's the best book I've ever written. It's the only book I've ever written. Hello. It's a first for me. Did I get to deal with all of my own self-doubt junk as I wrote this book? Yeah. Like, who am I to write this book? And I'm not a writer. I still say that. I'm not a writer. I love to speak. I love to get with people and talk to people and encourage people and really speak to their hearts and get to the heart of the matter with what they're struggling with and help them find solutions. I love that. Writing, that was totally God's idea. And it's like, what? Okay, I'm going to do this out of obedience. But I got to see some parts of me that I didn't know were so strong, but they have been strengthened. There's just such a fire in me now for the work that I do that before I used to talk about it as, it's a great idea. I'm excited about this. This is going to be fun. And now I'm like, no, this is life-changing, family-changing, generation-impacting work. That's not just a good idea. It's got to happen. I have to make sure that I don't stand in the way of what God wants to do through me in the lives of other people. I just talk about it differently now. I understand it deeper now. So when that heat turns up, the real you, it shows up. And the last thing is our struggles are not happening to us, but for us. That our struggles are what helps us to see God at work and helps us to see what our lives look like when we show up 100% committed. I love to be with 100% committed people. Because if you've ever been, I'm like competitive by nature. I love a good game. My family, we trash talk each other. We have a great time with it. Everybody's laughing. But if we say we're going to play a game, we always start telling everybody else, you know what, like, you're going to lose. Like, I'm about to win this game. Like, we just start having a great time right away. We're already competitive with one another. But I've been with other people where I want to go, hey, guys, like, we're going to dominate this game, high five. Like, we're going to go. And you got people like, oh, well, we're just going to have fun. And it's not really that big a deal. And, like, they pull off on side conversations. And I'm like, hey, man, like, what are we doing? Like, are we playing the game? Where we at? Like, let's get in here. Let's do it. Like, I'm all into it, right? And they're just kind of like, win or lose, it's all good. I'm like, wait, what? Like 100% committed. I want to be out here with 100% committed people because we all know what happens when you're not 100% committed. Life is going to test you, and it's going to expose that weakness, that doubt, that worry, that concern, that double-mindedness, and it will shake you out. It truly will shake you out. And you'll go, it wasn't that big a deal to me anyway. Here's evidence. We at the beginning of the year, many people made a commitment to healthier lifestyle, exercise, change in something, diet, sleep routines, whatever. It's January the 26th today, and I guarantee you that those who were not 100% committed have exposed themselves because they're no longer doing that, whatever that is they wanted to do. I'm going to start eating better. I'm not going to drink as much coffee. I'm going to stop smoking. It's January 26th. If they were 100% committed, it's already shown up in their lives because they make the commitment on January 1st. Within a week, life got hard. Something big happened. Schedule got really full. Job, whatever, changed, or something happened at work. Stress showed up. Worry showed up. And all of those push on the buttons of the lack of commitment we may have. And I'm going to say we because I make commitments too, babe. I'm going to work out with you tomorrow. And then I don't sleep well that night, and I go, man, I'm tired, man. I'm staying in the bed. Or it's cold outside. I don't know about going out there. So go ahead. You go ahead. I'll catch you tomorrow. It's like, I wasn't 100% committed to that workout, so I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when we have struggle, our struggles happen for us because our struggles help us to prove that we're in it all the way, or it'll expose. Nah, you weren't in it all the way. Either way, we get to learn lessons from that. Because, I believe in the wins and the lessons, not the losses. I get to see myself and say, hey, so that's what it looks like when I'm not 100% committed. But in this particular project, I get to see what it looks like when I show up and I am 100% committed. I get to see the difference that makes, and I get to see the impact of that in every area of my life. And I get to model that for my children. And I believe the same for you. Life is going to come at us. Things aren't always going to just fall neatly into a row and just come together beautifully in the way we desire. But what shows up in that? How do we show up? How do we move forward? Or do we give up? And so I hope that the next time you all are facing that something that I've said tonight reminds you of this conversation something that I've said tonight you're reminded of the next time you're facing your next challenge, or the next time you're thinking about that challenge that was on your mind tonight. And I'm going to finish with this one last thought. The power of an intentional mom is determined by the size of the problem she can handle. I'm going to read that one more time. The power of an intentional mom is determined by the size of the problem she can handle. You see, problems are going to come to us as moms. Life is full of challenges that we face every single day. So instead of us trying to avoid problems or trying to design life to be problem-free, stress-free, all these things phrases the world has for us, what if instead we just equip ourselves to be better problem solvers?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a much bigger problem to take us down.
That's good.
We encourage ourselves, we encourage each other so that we can withstand problems so much longer and so much bigger than we ever thought possible, and yet we're still moving forward. We just become expert problem solvers.
That's good.
That's good.
So those were my thoughts for tonight, ladies. I'd love to hear what stirred up for you, what you heard, what's happening in your world, maybe what giant, what Goliath you've been facing. I'd love to hear that. I open it up to you.
Well, I'll go real quick. Try to be brief. When I talk about in that moment, saying, "Oh, I don't want to do that again." 2 years ago, when my husband and I were deciding whether or not I was going to go back to graduate school, and I had to take the GRE, and I'm not a good test taker, and I studied hard, and one of his colleagues even tutored me, and I get the score back, and it's not high enough for the average that they post on the school I was applying to. And I was so disappointed because I drove all the way down to TCU for about 2 months to take GRE classes, and it still didn't work out. And my husband looks at me and saying, "Oh, you got to take that test again." I looked at him like, "Oh, I'm not." That was too painful. I'm not going to do that again. And I wish I was that calm with what I said to him, but no. In my head, I was like, "Oh, Lord, I'm not doing this again." But I did it again on New Year's Eve. 2 years ago. On New Year's Eve, I was in another testing room to do it again, and my scores bumped high enough, and I ended up getting into the school. But it was just one of those things that was very, very intense. And then fast forward, I'm a new mom, new adventures of being a mom, and I'm applying or looking at PhD programs right now. And I'm looking at it, I don't think I can do this. I can't qualify. I don't think, and I was asking myself the same questions of, why am I doing this? Am I doing this just to say I have a PhD, or am I doing this for the women and the mothers I want to help influence their lives in? And that's where it gets. And it's like one of those things where I'm like, Lord, whether it's a PhD or through something else, whether I'm just volunteering with mothers who are in the maternal health situation and don't know what to do, it's all for you. And so it's just very interesting of knowing when to continue to pursue, and then being a new mom and realizing I have to flip my priorities too as well. So I'm very intense. I'm great in the academic world, but when it comes to practical world, it takes me a while. And so it's just been an interesting season, really prioritizing my husband and my daughter first, and then this on the side, and it's so hard. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can ever do this. Even if I do get into a program, it's going to be double hard. So do I really want to proceed forward? But this nagging thing says you just have to walk it out. You don't know what God's actually doing, but just walk it out and just know that in the journey there's something in it. Doesn't matter what the outcome is, but in the journey, when you're walking intimately with Him and being honest with all the hard questions and all the soul searching and all the praying, then that's where the treasure lies. The outcome is just the outcome. It's that journey is where the treasure is. So, Susan, I just thank you so much for just being transparent of the frustrations. But I'm like, yes, Susan, I am the same girl who would rewrite the whole thing and everything would crash again. I felt your pain. I felt your pain many, many times before. So thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, man, thank you. Anyone else want to share?
Well, can I ask a question to the ladies on the call real quick? Is there anything that you want to do but you're nervous to step out in doing so? Because sometimes you're nervous, if I step out, what if I fail? And if I step out, what if I succeed? Because I would definitely love to just pray for you and support you in that.
Love that.
Yes, thank you.
I would say for me, and Ketchy, my answer would be to stay in a place of remembrance of the deliverance that I've had and the commitment that God has really, really etched in my heart, so that when, here's one of mine, when someone comes to me and they're like, oh my gosh, like I'm a grammarian, and as I read your work, I'm thinking, what the heck? Like, did you have an editor? Yeah, I did. And, like, this is an incomplete thought, and what was this, and where is that? And, like, all of the stuff that I've had in my head, like, what am I going to do when that happens? That I just remember that, it's just the gift has been given, right? Like the time, the investment that I put in that is the gift. And not everyone will appreciate the gift. That doesn't change the value of the gift. Will it have some mistakes and imperfections? That's some of my favorite gifts to get. Those handmade things that have missed stitches or crooked lines. It just shows that there were true hands that cut and worked on this. And so that's for me. That's my prayer request that I would put out there, is that I stay in that remembrance and that you guys be praying for me, that I see so much of how this kind of work is on the front lines. And when you're dealing with people, not everybody appreciates what you're on. And that's just real.
So Susan, can I go ahead and pray for you real quick? And before somebody else steps in. So, Father, I just thank you for her step of faith, Lord. God, I thank you. David comes to mind where, his brothers sort of made fun of him while he tended to the sheep, but he was diligent to do all the things in the unseen that provided, that became the source of his strength when he was in a battle. And Lord, all the things, the journey that Susan went through, God, in writing this book, Lord, may not be seen externally by everyone who just looks at the superficial. But when she speaks to women, and when they hear the heart behind her words, that's the victory. That's what she's fighting for. That's an unseen battle. And that unseen battle must be first started in the unseen first, Lord. And so, God, I just pray, God, that she would remember the amazing journey that she went through here. Father, I just even encourage her just to take a time of taking a sheet of paper, and my husband taught me how to do this, just write out bullet points of remembrance along the journey in writing this book and have a printout. So if there's a day that she's thinking, oh, why did I put this out, or this is not what I wanted, or if she's feeling unsure, let her bring out that stone of remembrance and look, like, this is what God brought me through to this point. And I will celebrate every moment knowing that God can only take things even further. And so, God, we thank you that there is a finished product. We thank you that it's going to be printed out. And we thank you in advance of how you're going to use this book to really transform the lives of of women who want to be intentional with their families and with their children and in their marriages, Lord. And we just thank you for that. We just thank you for that. And know that no one can steal the fruit that has been born, the fruit that will never perish, but this can only plant more seeds in the lives of others. God, that cannot be taken away, that cannot be diminished. But that was a special gift that you had for Susan. And in that, her daughters got a chance to enjoy that fruit and see an example of what it means to have true tenacity, one that is fueled by the Holy Spirit. And Lord, I just pray, God, that just you could continue just to guide her and lead her forward. You're the one who planned this idea and help guide her through, and you'll bring everything into fruition moving forward. So we just trust you in this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Yeah, I just felt just really encouraging, just a stone of remembrance. Like, my husband has like a little thing he did in college. He used to start having in college where he went through a very challenging, difficult season. And he took the time, what were the highlights or what were the trials that God helped him overcome? And he actually drew pictures. I just did mine for bullet points that led me to going back to graduate school. And it's amazing when you bring it out and you just get to re-celebrate all over again, anew, that amazing, crazy, hectic journey. And to say, wow, God, you are faithful. Wow, God, nothing's impossible when you're involved. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited for you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for that prayer. That was very powerful. Thank you. So did anyone else have an aha or an insight or even I can relate a story? Like I'm not on the other side, but I can relate. I'm going through that. I'd love to hear from you.
Susan, I have one. It's not really, it's kind of related, but I guess when it's kind of like it's not going how you thought, or when you put effort into something and you're like not getting results that you want, but this has to do with like with my oldest, she's such a quality time person, and which is great, but just in this particular season, I'm just really having to learn how to reprioritize with a 5-year-old and working more, and then a 15-month-old, and just kind of life, but also just making sure that that I am spending the right amount of time with her, because she really it affects her negatively, like if her little love tank is empty. And so for me, like I've been spending a lot more time with her, but it's still not, I mean, it's helping, but there's still some things there, and it's just kind of like, oh, how much attention do you need? I mean, that sounds bad because, but I'm just like, sorry.
I feel you, babe. I feel you.
But it's like, because I like to refuel, alone. And so, so I find myself a lot of times, because she can do things independently, she was spending probably too much time by herself while I was trying to do something with the baby or multitasking. And so I've definitely stopped some of that and just sitting with her and giving her that one-on-one FaceTime and but it's just I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with this, other than it's just it just takes time to sort of see her sort of kind of get filled, I guess, back up. And then for me also to balance what I need, the self-care part, and then my husband's also helping in some of these areas too. So, but just kind of staying the course, doing what you need to do for your family. And and then just when you add multiple kids in, I mean, I only have 2, but it's just filling their emotional buckets, like I don't even know, just
Babe,
kind of
yes,
you're right on. So that's a whole nother talk, but I still feel there's something to it. Like, when you put so much into it, you put so much into them, and then they're mean to you or rude to you, or they don't appreciate what you've just done, and you're like, I've just given you everything. Why can't you just say thank you? Or, like, sometimes I expect a certain level of affirmation from a child that I'm not going to get, but it doesn't mean what I've sown into her isn't being received or deposited, but I'm just not getting that sort of, you're doing good, Mom, it's working, but I'm just not, Anyway, so.
Well, let me be the one to say that then. You're doing good, Mom, and it is working.
She's the best mom. She's the
really
best
good, Mom.
She's the best mom.
I have no doubt that you're giving her love and attention and affection. Now, remind me again before I say any more. How old is she?
5.5.
5. Okay. Perfect. Beautiful age. Okay. So what would I say to encourage a mom who's feeling tapped out, touched out, stretched out, and you're trying to ensure that you're still loving and kind when you really just want to be alone?
Yes.
And goodness. Okay, so
I feel you,
I want to
girl.
say, yeah, I love that. And Ketchy's like, girl, like you're speaking my language. I love it. So I love that you're acknowledging what refuels you, and you know what that is. I think that's beautiful that you know that. So here's what you get to do. You get to ensure that that happens.
Okay.
Because if you aren't taken care of, and you're run down, and you're over committing to her needs at the expense of your own, then you put yourself in a place where both of you lose.
Right.
So you get to guard and protect that need that you have, and you get that that's a need. Likewise, you also are aware of her need, that her style is different than yours. She loves to be around you and to interaction and all the touch and the time and the talking, and you're just like, okay. But knowing that, you get to say, okay, I know this fuels her, and you get to ensure that that happens. Yeah. And the fun thing is you get to ensure that that happens, but it can be creative in the way that it happens. So it could be in the midst of other things that you need to get done, that you're ensuring that her needs are met. Hey, babe, I want you to come cook with me. Let's cook, and you tell me a story, and while you're putting stuff in the bowl, I'm just going to stir in, and you can, like, make that part of the story. Every time we put an ingredient in, you add something new to the story, and she's talking, and she's with you, and you guys are getting dinner made or getting lunch made, but it's all in the midst of life. It's not like you have to stop life, no lunch being made, no laundry being folded, and we're going to go sit over here, and I'm just going to look you face to face, and I'm going to make sure we got all of this me and you time.
Right, yeah, yes.
Because in the back of your head, you're thinking, hello, like lunch, and there's laundry, and stuff needs to happen, and blah, blah. Like it's not happening. But she would love to be engaged in whatever you're in. So you're like, hey, I'm going to do the laundry. I got the shirts and the pants and stuff that's difficult for you, but you dig through there, man, and you find every washcloth and every towel. That's you. Let me see you fold those. And so she's folding, and you can make a game out of that and talk about that as you're folding and telling her a story about when you were a little girl. They love those stories. You know, when I was little, and you'll have her full attention. But it's in the midst of life. It's not I spend time with her and then I go do life. It's in the midst of and in the flow of. And then when it's time, you get to say, you know, Mama has loved spending time with you. I loved hearing your stories. I loved getting to share my stories. But right now, you're going to go and have some time where you get to just be with you. and Mama gets to just go be with Mama. Because
Yeah.
I need that time, and you might not get it, but you need that time too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Here's what you can do while you're in there. These are things that are okay. You can go to sleep. I know you're not sleepy and you don't need a nap, and that's okay, but you do have to be in your bed. Whether you go to sleep or not, that's up to you, but you do have to be on your bed. You can have these books and this one toy. Which do you choose? I want to do the toy. Cool. On your bed with this toy, and you're quiet. I'm going to set this timer. I'm going to go to my room. You're going to be in your room, and I'll see you when the time's up.
Yeah.
See it?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It sounds great, doesn't it? Then what do you do those days when they come out of the room and the timer didn't go off and they got a question and they need to go potty and they're still hungry and they heard a noise and all of those different things? That's when that's just all a part of that training process to say, remember, your time alone, my time alone, this is not alone. You're back in my space. This is not alone. We're together. So you go back, maybe in the bed. You may be here. You may be quiet. You know, and I love to make things like 1, 2, 3, because I hold up. I'm doing it now, but you can't see me. Like, what can you be? In your bed. That's one finger up. Quiet with one toy. I got 1, 2, 3. And then I'll hold up my finger. What's the first one? In my bed. Got it. Quiet. Got it. Okay, with the toy. Got it. Okay. We got a deal, bud? Yeah. Okay, I'll see you soon. Love you. And off you go.
I like how you said it's also the training part, which is, I mean, training for anything is exhausting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, but I just have to, in those moments, it's like training. She's 5.5. She's not 25. She's still learning. But yeah, but
and
involving
you
her more.
Becoming a mama of a 5-year-old.
Yes.
You haven't always been a mama of a 5-year-old. You're becoming that. So it's part of that journey for you too.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
And as soon as you get really good at being a mama of a 5-year-old, she'll turn 6.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you get to become a mama of a 6-year-old. You know, I'm further down the journey, but I'm becoming a mama of a child who'll be 20 this year. And I think, what do we do with that? It's a whole new ball. And I get to give myself the grace. It's the grace conversation I love to have with moms, that we're all in the practice of becoming. All of us are. We've never done it before.
Yeah.
So give yourself the grace when you're not sure, or when you miss something and you drop the ball, or you handle things in the wrong way. Give yourself the grace to say, I'm becoming. It's a part of becoming. We're learning this together.
That's good. That's really good.
Good.
Was that helpful, Brandy?
Yes.
Yes,
it was.
Here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's confirming for sure, because even in the last couple of days when I've just really been more mindful and just trying to, incorporate her more in things, and that when I would think I would have less energy because I feel like but really it's been better, and she doesn't pester as much. That sounds bad, but just like wanting my attention, but I'm giving it to her so that like mental energy of like her just kind of keep coming back I'm not getting that because I'm right there. So she's being filled. I'm like, it's also helping me, and that I can move about and do some things without her kind of keep coming up to me like all the time about the same thing. So I can have that one-on-one time with her, address what we're doing at that moment, and then she goes and kind of does something. And so anyway, it has been a lot better.
Yeah.
So it's good.
And one other thing I would share is one thing that kids really seem to value and do really well with is preparation. So as you're finishing whatever you're working with, and you notice like it's about that time for her to go and you each have your quiet time or whatever the next thing is, that you just say, hey, so we're almost done here. And just about 5 minutes, it's going to be time, and you're going to go to your room. It like creates that transition, and it's not like she finished the story, and you're like, oh, that's a great story. Okay, so off you go, and she's like, whoa, wait, what? Like we're not doing more stuff together? You give her that preparation and say, well, this is what we're about to do next. And just make that a natural part of your conversation throughout the day. Okay, now we're done with breakfast. We're going to clear off the table. It'll be time for you to brush your teeth. And then we're going to do stories in the living room. And, oh, okay. And they're just kind of clear on what the next thing is.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Anyone else have some thoughts to share, questions to ask? Brandy, if you have another one, you feel free to jump in there. That I'm here for you all. That's what this is all about. Okay, ladies. If everybody's in a good place and everything's settled, one last thing I'm going to share along the lines of what you brought up, Brandy, because it's just so good. I always love talking to you ladies because you bring up some stuff that is in my memory banks, but it's a little dusty, so I get to dust it off. When you're dealing with that situation of she's needing and wanting your attention, and I think a lot of it's more wanting the attention than really needing it, because I know you or I've seen you with your babies, and I know that you're an attentive, caring mom. There's some other moms where legitimately the children aren't getting, the attention that they need. I don't think that's her case at all. She just loves you, so she wants more. So that's how that is. That's when you're doing your job right. They're just like, yeah, more of that, Mom. Let's keep going. But here's where the mom guilt can kick in for you, because you feel like you should be more attentive or be more patient or be more desiring of more time with her, but maybe you don't. You're like, yeah, but no, I'm done. I'm actually kind of good, thanks. I could move on. That guilt is a conversation that says things should be different. But what if we just adopt the mindset that everything is exactly the way it should be? Yeah. Everything is exactly the way it should be. Nothing should be different. It happened just the way it was designed to happen. In that, we get to free ourselves from thinking we should feel different. We get to feel that. And then we get to explore it. Okay, yeah, I'm actually kind of good. I don't want more time. And I get to free myself. I don't need to feel guilty about that. I'm just aware that I'm good. I've had plenty of time. And that frees you up to tell her, hey, we've had lots of great time together. I love spending time with you, and I love spending time alone. And now it's time for that. Without any of the conversation in your mind, like, oh, man, well, a loving mom would have just want to be with her kids all day. And a good mom would just have all these great activities that she has all lined up and ready to go to play with her kids that keep them entertained, and they're developmentally appropriate, and they're safe and non-toxic, and on and on and on. The committee that just wants to jump in there and have that whole conversation about all these things you should be in this situation. You get to say everything is exactly as it should be. I get to honor my feelings. I get to honor what's real. And we get to move forward without all that negative chatter that just saps your energy faster than having to go run a 5K. Ladies, we can be absolutely worn out. And
True that. True that. True.
It's the negative chatter from that committee that's wearing us out. Yes. So we get to just tell the committee, No, I have no regrets. Everything is exactly as it should be.
Good.
And we get to move forward in that.
And one thing, we had church the other night, and Ketchy was in that group with me, but we had a nice prayer time. And one thing was just like that someone had said to me was just, like remove, just kind of like exfoliate the like just kind of dead things, like things that are just like on you or around you that shouldn't be, just like things that basically for me that kind of equated to like what is stealing my mental energy, like what is just dead, fluffy skin that needs to just be washed off, and so, and yeah, that negative chatter being one, just things that just kind of suck, like just the life out of you, or just time wasters, or just mental energy wasters. So I'm glad that you said that, because it's so true. Good reminder. Oh.
Yeah, beautiful.
So good.
Beautiful.
So good.
You just did something that when I'm having one-on-one sessions for moms, I listen for what you just did, and that's that exhale.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing you do. I call it the breakthrough, and that means you just had one. Because when it happens,
Amen.
It's a natural thing that happens. We don't even think about it. We just go, it's a release.
Yes.
So this just moved past the cranial processing of data, and it just dropped into the heart and became real. And that's where change happens. That's where the impact happens. That's where transformation happens. It's on the heart level. And you just got that.
Hallelujah. That's good. I'll take it. I receive it. It's there.
Yes. So things will be different for you tomorrow.
Yes. Amen.
Because you just became different.
Yes.
And for anybody else on the call, think about it, how you've been on this call. And if you had a moment where something happened and you went, that's it. You just got it. It was no longer just data, information, just a story. It became real in that moment.
Good.
So good. You ladies are awesome.
I'm sorry, I'm the quiet one, but I just want to say thank you for everything. It was so awesome listening to everyone's stories and so uplifting. And I'm Paige, by the way, but maybe I love to listen again. And Brandy's the one that that's connected me to you. So she's the best, and just thank you. Just thank you.
Yeah.
I'll open up more as I continue.
Well, Paige, thank you for saying hello.
Yeah, thank you. I know, sorry. I really am a chatterbox. I'm just a little shy sometimes. And it's hard to imagine if you really do know me, but but thank you so much. It was so nice.
Man, well, I'm honored that you're here, because I'm clear that as moms, we got full lives and we could be anywhere else at this moment. So when you all take time out to be here, I feel very honored to have you here. So thank you for not only being here, but for saying hello. I loved hearing your voice.
Thank you. Thank you for everything, and I look forward to the next time.
Yay, perfect. Well, if anyone else has a question, I am here, but if not, I will release you ladies to have another wonderful evening with your family, or to get settled in for the evening if that's what's next for you. And if you guys need me, you please reach out to me at Susan at SusanC.com. That's Susan, SEAY.com. Of course, if you're part of my newsletter list, that's going to be the first group to know when the book is available on Amazon, because it's coming up. And any other things that I have coming up, you're the people who know first, is those that are on my email list. As always, I'll be back here on the fourth Tuesday evening of February. That'll be the 23rd, and we'll have another great conversation. And God only knows what that is. I just wait for him to say, okay, what should we talk about? Yeah.
Sorry.
What I mean? What happened?
Oh, I typed anyway, I hit my keypad on my phone, and I thought it, like, interrupted I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. No, I didn't hear a thing. If it did happen,
Okay.
I didn't hear it. Okay. So, yeah, I'll be back here again on the 23rd of February. And so if you're not on my email list and you're listening in because a friend invited you or you saw a posting on Facebook, please do make sure that you go to my website and get on the list and be aware of what's coming up and what's happening and what I want to share with you guys. So I'm going to check one more time. Did anybody have a question or comment before we go?
If we purchase the book ahead of time, like when you came and spoke, will we get a copy of that? I pre-ordered it. Will it just be mailed to us, I guess, once it's released? Perfect.
Exactly. I have those order forms. I'm looking at them right here. I
Yay!
got the order forms right here. So once that book is approved, then I'll order all of your copies and have them sent to me, and then I will package them up and mail it out to you.
Awesome. I cannot wait. I'm so happy. So excited. I will be celebrating as I turn every page, celebrating you and your victory. You know, it's awesome.
Yeah, you got to hear what it took.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. So.
All right. Well, ladies, I appreciate each one of your time, and if I can be of support to you in between these calls, you let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to talking with you next month. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.